I've been trying to come up with a single transistor compressor pedal, and here's what I have. So that's the input, that's the output. They're just connected through a voltage divider setup here, and the voltage from the input also goes to this MOSFET, and the MOSFET is used to drive this, and this is the magic ingredient of this circuit, right? This is a tiny incandescent bulb that I got from string lights, the decorative string lights, and an incandescent bulb, unlike an LED, does not respond at audio frequency speeds. So if you were to turn this on and off 20 times a second or more, it would not look like it's being turned on and off. It'll just look like it's staying on, because the filament needs a while to cool down and stop producing light, right? And so that's perfect, because what this gives you then is sort of an average loudness of your input signal, and not the actual audio signal itself. And now what you can do is you can feed that light into this. This is an LDR, or a light dependent resistor, and this is part of the voltage divider that attenuates the input signal going straight to the output. And so this setup here is very much like a passive volume knob, like on your guitar. And so what you have when you feed this light into this LDR is like literally every time you play louder, someone is sitting there with a volume knob turning it down. And that covers pretty much everything except these two potentiometers. So this one is sort of like a compression ratio control. It's not exactly that. If you want to see the details of how it's wired up, I'll put the schematic on screen right now, and I'll put a link in the description. But there's a slight drawback to how it is wired up. I'm not sure if there's an easy way around that. And what happens is that when you turn the compression ratio up, the overall level of your signal goes down. But it's a simple circuit, and I think that's a bit of a compromise for that. And then this one basically just biases the MOSFET. So it's sort of like a threshold control, like a compression threshold control, but it's not exactly set up to be used like that. So I just sort of tune it to a value that makes sense, and then leave it there. So how you do that is, so let me connect battery, turn it on, and plug in my guitar. So, oh boy, yeah. Okay, so you can see the light is sort of just barely on, and that's where you want it. So if I were to turn this up, it goes brighter. If I were to turn it down, it gets dimmer, and you want to have it in a place where it's just sort of on the verge of turning on. That's a good place to have it. And now I'm gonna strum my guitar here, and hopefully you'll be able to see as I hit my guitar harder, the light actually glows brighter. So what you want to do at this point is make sure that the light from this light bulb goes into this LDR over here. And what I'm going to do is just hot glue. So there's the circuit. You can see the light bulb over there, and if I strum my guitar here, it glows brighter. Now let's turn this over. My guitar is plugged in over there into the input, and the output is just going into my interface. I'm recording DI with no effects or amp simulation or anything like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and play the same thing or something similar 3 times. Once with no compression, so with this compression knob set to 0, once with maximum compression, and then once somewhere in the middle. And then I'm going to go in and post and set the gain of each clip such that the maximum peak amplitude in each case is the same, so you can just get a feel for the dynamics. So here we are at 0 compression. Now maximum compression. and now somewhere in the middle, say around there. So as you can hopefully hear, it does sort of work. Now there are pros and cons to this really simple circuit, but like for example, the output is a high impedance signal, and the knob controls, unfortunately, not just the compression ratio but also the output level, and yeah, you can't control attack and decay and that kind of stuff. But it's really simple, and I love that. Yeah, so that's it.